Good morning, it's Lynn Pierce live from the Office Restaurant in Cabo San Lucas. Of course, it's Saturday. I want to welcome everybody to the beach. There was a little glitch in my plan to get here before 8 o'clock so that I could make sure on this busiest week that I would get a front row table. But the battery died in the car, so I needed to grab another car and get down here. So needless to say, I did not get front row, but you can still see the beach. The other thing that isn't quite working out the way I thought was I ordered a light for my phone so that it's supposed to, well, maybe I can take it off and show you. I ordered this light that is supposed to make you able to see me, but I'm less than a foot away, and from what I can see on my phone, even this has a dimmer on it, even with it turned all the way up, you still can't see me any better than you see me any other week. So I'm not sure what the technology is for what I can do with this. If anybody can help me out with the technology, though, that would be great. But this is the day before Easter, and I mentioned last week that Semana Santa is the busiest tourism week for Mexicans here in Cabo, coming from the mainland. And also we're still in spring break for US and Canada, so we have a lot of people here. So there's a few more people that are willing to get up early to go to breakfast. So I did something interesting this morning. I once again rescued a skunk from the trash can. When I took my dogs for a walk, I heard this scratching, rumbling around. The last time I did that, I thought it was a little kitten that was in there. This one was a little bigger, so I could see that, well, as I walked up to it, I was pretty much assuming it was going to be a skunk, so I was being a little more careful. But you know, they jump off this little wall into the trash can, and then they can't get back out. So I did my good deed for the day, saving this skunk from whatever would happen if he didn't get out of the trash can. So today we're going to be talking about the source of being frustrated and how to end it. Frustration is one of those things that pretty much everybody deals with. Like this morning, when I was in the car and ready to go, and all of a sudden, nothing. Battery's dead. So I could have been frustrated because I had just sent out the Facebook saying that I would be on in 20 minutes, and I thought, oh, I'm not going to be there in 20 minutes. Not that there's hordes of people waiting for me 20 minutes later, but thank you, Dr. Caslow, for that thumbs up. I appreciate it. Always appreciate the likes and hearts and all that stuff that you guys give me. Thanks for being here and watching. I'm sure it's a little different weather in New York. I don't know if it's warm there, cold there, what's going on at this moment in time, but I know you're not on the beach. So the thing is, I could have been frustrated when that didn't work, but instead I just happened to have the keys to another car in my purse, so out of the car, into another car, and on my way. And for a lot of people, that would have been a source of frustration, something that got them upset, that would stay with them, that might ruin their day or ruin their hour or whatever. It all depends on the person. But there's always going to be that ebb and flow in life. Just like the waves that are coming, well, not really waves, This beach doesn't have waves except if there's a storm, but assume there are waves there. Go with me for a minute. Just like waves on the ocean, there's a reason that it's calming to watch the waves go in and out. But the thing is, when you look at the waves, there's always waves. They come in, they go out, they might change in size, the angle might change if the wind shifts, but there's never a time that the waves just stop. There's no way to stop it. It's that ebb and flow. It comes, it goes, it's constant. So in nature, there's a law of action, reaction, motion, rest. It's something that is always in process. And so why do we feel so relaxed when we go to the ocean and we sit there watching those waves go in and out? I think it's because on some level, deep inside us, it just makes sense. We understand that process, that things are always happening that way. It's balance, it's yin and yang, it's harmony in the universe. And just like when we're breathing, we breathe in and out. You don't say, well, I'm going to breathe in once, and then I think the next 5 times I'm just going to breathe out and see what happens. Now, unless you're doing some yoga breathing, but normal breathing, we don't do that. It's in, out. There's a life energy that's flowing through us all the time that has that same rhythm when you're in balance. But when you're frustrated and you're not in balance, then it's either going to be slowing down that energy, that life energy in you, or it's just going to stop it and you're going to be stagnant. And you don't want that. So, copy. The way we create in our lives, we have a thought that becomes an idea, which becomes a desire, which becomes a goal, right? So what happens when your goal is not met, when it goes unfulfilled? You get frustrated, right? Because deep inside, we already have that picture. The minute that thought turns into an idea, and we say, yes, I desire this, before we turn it into a goal, we already are having that picture of what it's going to be like when that desire is fulfilled in our minds. So if that doesn't happen, then we feel a great amount of frustration. Some people will even go further than frustration and feel anger or sadness or depression. So our subjective mind, our subconscious mind, is going to take those goals, those desires that we create, and it's our subconscious's job to turn that into reality. But at the same time, our conscious mind is the one that has to take the actions, that has to work the plan that is created to make that actually happen. So just desiring it and have that picture in your subconscious mind is not enough. If we don't follow through, sometimes it's not our fault. Sometimes it's because we don't have a proper plan, or the system that we're using is faulty. So it just doesn't turn out. And what happens is that we don't fulfill that desire. But every time that happens, the frustration in our mind and in our body just keeps piling up and piling up. So whether it's emotionally or physically, we keep feeling that. It's like loading more and more on every time you have an emotion that doesn't get fulfilled. Let me get a drink of water. And consciously, you may think that there's no direct correlation that you can make between a particular desire and the frustration. You might think you're angry at something that you feel completely justified being angry about, but really it's your emotions about that unfulfilled desire finding an outlet. That's all it is. Because if we don't have an outlet for those emotions, if they aren't released, then it's going to show up physically in our body, and it will show up as illness or disease, even death. If enough of it piles on and piles on and piles on, and all you have inside you is these seething, unfulfilled desires that are like poison in your body that you're not releasing. So the energy has to be expressed. Now, of course, it's a whole lot better if you can figure out how to not get to that level of frustration or all the escalations after frustration in the first place. And that's what we're going to talk about, is how to end that so that doesn't happen. But it's like, as within is without. So whatever's going on inside your mind is going on inside your body, but it's also going to have a physical expression. So the thoughts and feelings that you have in your mind need to get out. And since the source of frustration is unfulfilled desires, then the logical next step would be that to fulfill those desires would be how to end frustration, right? So how do you get a larger percentage of your desires fulfilled? And that would be to improve the quality of the requests that you're making, so that it makes it easier for your mind to fulfill it, right? So that means learning to ask better questions. It means you need to better understand first who you are and what it is that you really, really want at your deepest level. And then when you have that clarity, you have a system that's like a goal-seeking search bot, as if Google was, you had your own personal internal Google, that all you had to do is say, let's say, I want to lose 20 pounds by June 1st. Let's say that's your desire, that's your goal. In your mind, you picture yourself in the best shape that you've been in 5 years. And you've got this picture of yourself walking down the beach in a bikini, and the next thing you know, people are stopping what they're doing and they're looking at you as you're walking by, and you feel really good about yourself, and you've got this whole picture in your mind, right? So you put that desire into your own personal goal-seeking search bot, into your own Google, but what happens? That doesn't happen. Somehow there's not the right plan to follow through and create that, right? Because you put the desire in there, but there also has to be, well, if we continue with the Google analogy, there has to be the analytics that tracks. Okay, you said you had this goal of losing 20 pounds. Let's track this daily, weekly, monthly, to see, are you on track for achieving this goal? Here's the steps that you've been taking. Here's what you're doing. Oh, you know, you ate that big pile of nachos covered in cheese, and then you had that hot fudge sundae, yeah, you're not moving towards that goal at the right pace to hit it. So when you have that feedback, then you can course correct. So we have an internal system, our subconscious mind, that is moving with everything it's got towards that goal. But it requires our conscious mind to create the plan, create the tracking, the accountability to make it happen. So that's what your goal system does for you, is it gives you that accountability. And of course, I know I'm starting to sound like a broken record, but it's really important that you get the goal system and that you put it into practice. It literally will change your life. It will decrease your frustration level to such a degree. It's extraordinary what it will do for you in a short period of time. Just because of how our minds actually work, what causes the frustration, how you're going to achieve your goals, it makes a difference. So you can get the Ageless Lifestyle Guide to Goal Setting and Achieving at agelesslifestyle.com/goal-bid, goal BID. And that will take you where you can get the personal manifesto, which is the first step, and then the goals program. And right now, that is still on sale for $47, and it includes the unadvertised bonus that you will not see on the sales page, which is a laser session with me, if you need it, to get you fast-tracked, get you really clear, so that you are really ready to go for your goals or any other issue that you have that you feel like it would benefit you to talk to me about it. So that's available to you for $47, and like I said last week, $7.50 now. Oh, amigo, más café, por favor? I don't know, the last couple of weeks I've been really thirsty, but so being able to talk to me for $47 and get the goals program, have me help you, it's just a crazy deal. So I hope you take me up on it. I've really been enjoying talking to people and helping them with things. Everybody's got something different that they have a specific question about, and I just love in connecting with people. So take advantage of that. Anyway, back to our conversation. Now I kind of forgot where I was when I got off track talking about the goals program. But you can have literally 90% of everything just perfect, just rocking in your life, and have one little thing out of whack. It's like having a wobbly wheel on a bike. I mean, you know that eventually either you're going to fall off the bike or the wheel's going to fall off the bike, but something bad is going to happen. So when you've got even that one little thing out of whack, you're kind of screwed. And again, it goes back to having those emotions that have to be released. It has to be addressed. You can't go through life. I mean, if you think about it, look at people who are really successful in their business, or they're really successful in their personal life and their business sucks, or they're totally fit and have no body fat at all, and yet their relationships are trashed. It's like nobody is 100% on every area of their life. There's always something that you could be improving, and that always needs to be taken care of, because again, there's that emotional and physical toll that takes place. And I'll share a personal story with you that I'm not sure if I've ever really talked about. If I have, rarely, because I don't even remember. When I was in my 20s, I was in a domestic abuse marriage for 10 years. And it was kind of a crazy situation. It took me 10 years to get out of it. For 7 years, the first 7 years, I've always been, since I was 16 years old, I've been reading what were then self-help books, or even before that, psychology books, self-help books, personal growth books, and then in my early 20s I discovered Nightingale Conant tapes, and if you aren't old enough to remember what those are, you can look it up. But Nightingale Conant tapes and self-improvement books were my life back then. It's been my main passion for more than 40 years now. But when I was in that marriage, I was constantly reading book after book after book. I was listening to Nightingale Conant tapes in my car. That's all I did. And also, before I went to bed at night, when I got up in the morning, when I was getting ready for work, I was always watching that. Hi, Shelley. Thanks for being with us. Gino, welcome. Good to have you here. And it really worked miracles in my business. I mean, my business was on fire. I was a huge success at whatever I did. I moved from state to state. I went from one kind of real estate to another, and everything I did was golden. I won awards, I made great money, and my personal life was terrifying. It was horrible. And yet on the outside, the world looking at my life, people were always telling me, oh, I wish I was you, you know, I was doing all these great things, I was making great money, I was young to be making the kind of money that I was making, and I was doing work that I was the only woman, so, you know, there was a lot of, I guess, recognition of me. I kind of stood out because I was the only woman. But, you know, everything looked perfect. I was traveling all over the world, I had lots of money, and other women were always saying that they wished they could be me. But little did they know that things were not as they appeared. Because when I would go home, my life was a living hell. I was getting beaten up all the time, and I was verbally abused by someone that was trained by the military in interrogation. So that's how good they were at verbal abuse. I think if it wasn't for all the books I read and the Nightingale Conant tapes, I don't know that I would have had the strength to make it through. But at some point, I actually remember getting out of the car one day, and as I opened the car door, I was thinking, I wish I could get the lesson. What's the lesson is? I want to learn the lesson so I can move on. And that's what I always wanted. I kept thinking I had to be here, I had to go through this because there was a lesson, and why was it taking me so long to learn this lesson? And then I don't remember if it was a little voice in my head or what it was, but something said, you just have to choose. And it's like, I just have to choose? I mean, I don't have to wait. There's not like some big, that's going to happen that I'm waiting for. And I thought, okay, I need a plan. I need a plan. And that was when I realized that I had built the cage I was living in. And that it really was open on one side. But I had to wake up to see that it was open. And then I had to have a plan so that I could create those goals, that plan, follow through with my action steps. It took me another 3 years to very carefully and strategically and slowly create my escape plan so that I could do all this unnoticed until there was a time that it would be safe for me to escape. And all those books and tapes were great, but I couldn't call up Wayne Dyer or Brian Tracy and ask them for help. And maybe that's a part of why it's always been so important to me. I'm getting emotional. Why it's always been so important to me to be accessible to people. I actually had a fight, we'll call it an argument, but raised voices with a friend of mine who is one of my closest friends, and we were arguing about the efficacy of being too available to people. And I said, you know what, I always want to be available to people on whatever level I can be, whether they're buying low-cost products from me or high-end mentoring programs from me, because I don't value people based on how much money they spend with me. I never have. And it's nothing new for people to tell me that I'm too available, because I got that through my whole business, all my women's business empowerment summits, how I was always available to the attendees there. I was always in the room. And my event coordinator would always tell me, you know, you really shouldn't be this available if you want to have people enroll into your high-end programs. I'm like, no, I want to do that. And this is the first time that I think I made that connection, because I had no one when I was going through this. It was all on my own. It was a solo journey. And that's why it's so important to me that you have these tools. You have the benefit of the tools I've created, whether it's the personal manifesto, change one thing, change your life, the 30-day lessons in there, or this goals program, and the ability to email me or get on the phone with me if you need to, and get some one-on-one help. You know, it's not like you have to do this on your own. And that's really the only reason that I've made this goals program available. I mean, in the past, it was never a part of my product line. It was just something that I did with my private clients. But I don't know, I decided a couple months ago that maybe it was time to make this available. So we've kind of gotten off track here a little bit, I think, but you know, the thing that got me out of that situation is that once I had the plan, once I made that plan, no matter how scary it was or what happened in those 3 years, I kept my eye on the prize. You know, I'd given my Google search bot in my subconscious the goal that I had in mind, what I desired, and I checked the analytics day by day, week by week, month by month, year by year, until I could get out. Some goals are long-term goals. Some goals that if you have the proper plan, you may think that they're annual goals or 5-year goals, but when you've got the correct plan, you can find yourself achieving those goals a whole lot sooner than what you expected. Sometimes I'm amazed at things that I've judged as being difficult, when in reality there is no size in any desire that you want. That things come in their own time, and things that you thought were long-term might show up in a matter of weeks or months. So I would encourage you to get the goals program. Talk to me if you need help. I don't know how much time we've been doing this. I kind of got off on that story. Sorry about that. And next week, a lighter topic, we're going to talk about having an ageless body, because you can't be a leader and a peak performer in your business if you're giving your body the wrong fuel. If your health and your nutrition and the food you eat isn't correct, then you're going to have a foggy brain, and you're going to be tired and sluggish and irritable. My breakfast just got here. Perfect timing. So the other thing is that it's getting to be beach season, so I thought it was time to talk about the first leg of having an ageless life in business, which is your ageless body. Then we'll move on to talking about your ageless mind, which we've talked about already, and of course your ageless business. So if there's anything that you would like help with, in particular, you can comment, you can private message me, email me, hit me up on Facebook, and let me know what you'd like me to talk about. If this has resonated with you, or this has been helpful to you, besides the likes and the hearts, leave me a comment or put a 1 in the comments if this has been helpful. And I appreciate those of you who are able to be here live, and also for those of you who watch it later. I apologize again for this stupid light I bought that apparently doesn't do anything to make me light up in direct sun. So I will continue trying to figure out how to get out of this witness protection look I have going on. And I will see you all here next week. Thanks for being here. Bye for now.